Hey guys, this is Miss Rose, and today's lesson is about paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is stating something again so that it has the same meaning, but different words are used. It's similar to a summary. They both have a lot in common, but the purposes are a little bit different. The purpose of a summary is to give shortened info, but the purpose of a paraphrase is to restate the info in just a different way. We're going to talk about why this is important, and we're going to stop the video every once in a while and pop in on some things that I want you guys to make sure you take note of. So get your notebooks ready.
Hey, those are for my report. Dear Tim and Moby, what is paraphrasing and how do I do it and when? From Millie. Good question. To paraphrase something pretty much just means you say it in your own words. Well, it's useful for two reasons. When you're taking notes on a piece of writing, putting an idea in your own words can help you understand the concept. And when you're writing a report or paper, paraphrasing your source is a way to use the information you've learned without using a direct quote. Well, there are a few steps to writing a good paraphrase. First of all, you want to read the original carefully, making sure that you really understand it. Let's see, paraphrase. To express the meaning of a written or spoken passage, or the words of an author or speaker, using different words, especially to achieve greater clarity, to render or translate freely. Whoa, those are some big words. Next, you want to close the book and write a couple of sentences that restate the idea of the passage. Well, if you close the book, you can be sure you're not just copying what you read. When you paraphrase, you use your own words to express the meaning of something someone has said or written. Paraphrasing can make information clearer. Paraphrasing can also mean translating something without worrying about making the content match exactly. When you're finished, you open the book back up and check your paraphrase against the original to make sure you have all the important information. Whoops. The tricky thing about paraphrasing is that you have to make sure you haven't used any words or phrases that are unique to the text you're paraphrasing. This "to express the meaning of" is exactly from the entry on paraphrasing, and it's something I probably wouldn't have said myself. So I'm going to put quotes around it. Make sure you write down where you got the information from, too, so you can find the source again. Noting the source also means that you can avoid accidentally plagiarizing. Well, plagiarism is when you copy someone else's work and pass it off as your own. Yeah, it's bad. Sometimes it's hard, though, to understand the difference between plagiarizing and paraphrasing. Plagiarizing is not just when someone copies a passage word for word in a report or essay. It's also taking someone else's ideas. Let's say I read an essay that you wrote about how tigers are the funniest looking animals because of their stripes and huge whiskers. Now, if I read that and decide to write an essay on how I think tigers are the funniest looking animals because of their stripes and huge whiskers, that would be considered a form of plagiarism. Well, because I didn't really come up with the idea myself. Even if I paraphrased what you said, it was based on your creative idea. If I didn't credit you, that would be plagiarism. Now, when you want to use information that's general knowledge, like information in an encyclopedia or dictionary, that's when paraphrasing is usually okay. Or if you're summarizing someone else's work, but making it clear that the original work was theirs. A good paraphrase doesn't sound like the original piece of writing, but it should contain all the important details. Often, it'll end up being even longer than the original. Yeah, I know it sounds like a lot of work. And it's not easy, but it's definitely an important skill. Now, are you going to help me put these back in order? Moby?
Okay, so a couple of things that I wanted to touch on, why paraphrasing is so important, why we are going to be using that not just in this class, but you'll use it for as long as you're in school. It's important when you're writing papers or when you're doing research, because if you paraphrase, then you don't have to use a bunch of quotation marks. You can change it so that the reader understands that you understand what was talking about, but it's in your own words, so it's not a direct quote. And secondly, it shows that you understand the material. So when Tim read the first definition of paraphrase, it was long and it was wordy and it was confusing and there was a whole bunch in there that was intimidating, and it just is a whole mess of jumbled big words that he probably didn't understand all of them. But I took that definition, just like he did, and I kind of let my brain chew on it for a second. I digested it, and then I thought, okay, what does this mean now? Not just a repeat. Don't just give the definition in one ear, spit it out your mouth. Let it swirl around in your brain. What does it mean to you? What is this information? What does that look like to you? And then I was able to explain that. Well, a paraphrase is when you say something again, you give the same info, it's the same meaning, but either the structure is different or the words are different. So there's always a little bit something that makes it your own work as opposed to someone else's. Now, he did talk about how sometimes the paraphrasing will be longer than the original bit of information, whether it's a quote or a definition of a word or a description of a cute, fuzzy tiger. That's not always the case, but when it is longer, sometimes we just need more words to explain what our brain is looking at. So now we're going to try some examples. Okay, how could you paraphrase the following sentence? Moby, the orange robot, is best friends with a boy named Tim. Well, from what we know about paraphrasing, we know it's the same information, but it's in different words. So let's look at our options. Okay, A is Moby, the orange robot, is best friends with the boy named Tim. Well, that's the same information. That's the same everything. So that one's not going to be the best option. It's not the best option because the words are the same. They are copying it word for word. That's straight up plagiarism. So we don't want to do that. Let's look at our other options. Okay, B. Tim is best friends with an orange robot named Moby. Well, it looks like that includes all the important parts. From paraphrasing, we know we need to put it in our own words, and it's worded differently. It's not the same text copied. It's similar, but it's rearranged. And it does include all the important bits, like it's talking about Moby, what color he is, what he is at all, and his friend, Tim. So that's a good option, but let's keep looking. Moby is an orange robot. That's true, but it doesn't have any information about poor Tim. He's all left out, so we know that one's not correct. Tim and Moby are friends. And yes, that's information that is given to us in our sentence, but is it all of the important information? Like what Moby is, or what kind or what color he is. So there's some details still that are left out. So, which one do you think I should choose? Let's go with B. Yay, awesome. Okay, so for your whisk for paraphrasing, you are going to tell me, instead of when and where, you're going to tell me what is paraphrasing. Um, you could even paraphrase what paraphrasing is. Make sure it's in your own words. How do I know that you understand what paraphrasing is? For the I, tell me, I use paraphrasing. How do you use this in your everyday life? Where do you see examples of this, of taking information, making it your own, and putting it into your own words? And then S is a summary of the video and the notes. Q is going to be still questions that you might have about paraphrasing or someone else might have. And for your last little bit, you are going to paraphrase this. You can choose one. Hang on, let me make sure this is big enough. So we've got two little passages for you to pick one to paraphrase. First one is Taylor Swift is an American singer-songwriter who was raised in Pennsylvania. Oh, I don't know what I just did. Okay, keep going. But moved to Nashville, Tennessee when she was 14 years old to pursue a career in music. She has sold over 40 million albums and has won 7 Grammy Awards. She now lives in New York with her 2 cats and will go on tour later this year for her latest album, 1989. The second text is a knuckleball is a baseball pitch thrown to minimize the spinning of the ball. The less the baseball spins, the more irregular and wild the pitch will be. The crazy movement of the ball is caused by air flowing over the baseball seam, which pushes on the sides of the baseball while it's in motion. Knuckleballs are difficult for batters to hit, but also difficult for pitchers to throw. So you are going to choose one of these and you can put it on the bottom of your whisk, on the back of it, on a different page, whichever's easier, and you are going to paraphrase that text. So I look forward to seeing your paraphrases, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.